What's good, man, and welcome to the latest edition of the Must Be Two Sides podcast. I'm your host, Lorenza, and wow, um, December 30th was the day a lot of us was looking forward to. It was the day of the UFC 219, a day or a feature whose co-main events were Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is, wow, known as the Eagle, versus Edson Barbosa. And then you had Chris Cyborg versus Holly Holm. Now, first up, Khabib the Eagle. He went into a ring or to the octagon to face Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa is this Brazilian guy whose kicks and spinning kicks have been dangerous since he's been in the UFC. He's actually one of the best lightweight fighters that they have. And last night he walked into the octagon, they locked the cage, and he was in there all by his lonesome just to get hammered by the Eagle. I've never seen anyone, especially someone from Brazil, be dominated from start to finish in a fight. I've never seen that before in my life. I've always wanted to watch Khabib fight. I always seem to miss him fight, especially live. And I would hear all these stories about him versus Conor McGregor. Then he would miss weight this day, or he would be injured this day, or he would be sick this day. To see that man in the octagon healthy was a sight to behold. That dude can really go. He's really good in every aspect of his fight game, whether it's striking or takedowns or the ground game. I don't care what you call it. The dude is a monster. And like most times when I watch a live sport, I love to see the in-ring interview that is done by a commentator as soon as the fight is over. And after that fight, he said, you know what, Barbosa is one of the best in the UFC, and we went 15 minutes. I went 15 minutes with that man on purpose. I could have ended it early, which it really seemed like he could have ended it early. I'm not even going to lie to you. It really seemed like he could have ended it when he felt like ending it. But he said himself that he went 15 minutes on purpose because he needed to get the work in or whatnot, and that he said he could go as far. I mean, he went as far as to say that he could fight Tony Ferguson or Conor McGregor right now. Well, both of them right now. He could go again with those guys. So hopefully Tony Ferguson, he's earned it. He gets that Conor McGregor fight first. Hopefully he does. But if he doesn't, I have to treat him like Sean Porter. Just go over there and wait until we get this super fight out of the way. Because Conor McGregor and Khabib, if they fight in Russia, it's going to be amazing. But everyone knows that Conor has made enough money and has been gone long enough to say, you know what, I want to come back, have some sort of a tune-up or something like that before I get into these real big fights. Now, Conor hasn't fought in a while. Tony Ferguson fought earlier this year. So, maybe that fight is more likely to happen first than the Khabib fight. But you know what? I'm all down for it. I support whoever kind of gets in the ring against 100%. And not saying I'm rooting against Conor, but it's definitely me saying that, I just want to see the man fight because he went out like the greatest or one of the greatest of all time. So, yeah, let's see if this holds up because the sport is ever evolving. Like boxing, like basketball, like football, like baseball, it is ever evolving, and let's see what's up. Now, the second main event, or the second part of the main event, was the Cyborg versus Holm. Now, this was for the women's featherweight championship. It's a new belt. Cyborg has the belt, and Holly Holm, if you remember, she's the lady that kicked Ronda Rousey into oblivion. She's the preacher's daughter, the seemingly sweet lady that is now in the International Boxing Women's Hall of Fame for her touts in the ring and her kickboxing and all that good stuff. You know, she went up 10 pounds in weight. She's a natural 135, but she went up 10 pounds in weight in order to face Cyborg, and you can just tell when they got in there that Cyborg was definitely the bigger woman. You know, first and foremost, usually I'm a fan of people based on, you know, what they choose to have as their music in the ring walk. But Holly Holm came out to some river dancing, Irish type music, and she was hopping around, and she would hop around for the entirety of the match. And I'd be damned if Chris Cyborg didn't come out to Kurt Franklin's stomp. She came out to fight a preacher's daughter to Kurt Franklin's stomp. Now, obviously, you know, after the fight, we saw that Chris Cyborg is super Christian. And she grabbed her Jesus chain and definitely said it's all about the Lord, which is cool. But she came out the stomp to basically try to beat the shit out of another woman. And one thing that impressed me about Chris Cyborg in this fight, because, you know, look, first of all, I'll say I'm impressed with Holly Holm for standing there and taking the kind of punishment that she took the entire time. And we saw that her powers were definitely limited against Chris Cyborg. The left kick that she used on Ronda Rousey didn't work. The straight lefts didn't work as well. I mean, they definitely landed, but they didn't stop Cyborg from coming forward at all. So the clinching is something that she done really well, but she never did try to take Cyborg to the ground. She just tried to clinch up against the fence just for a break or so, and then she would break away as fast as she could so she wouldn't get hit in the face. But Chris Cyborg, her technique is something to behold. Her technique is absolutely amazing. I remember watching her box against Clarissa Shields in a sparring session, and I was just so impressed by the fact that she was in there with a world-class boxing Olympian boxer trading shots like that, and it was an amazing thing to see. And that technique that she had, the moving forward, that moving her head here, moving her head there, and, you know, hitting with the straight right and coming with the left hook, or just the left hook in general, was something that I was really impressed by. So, you know, obviously Cyborg won, and there are not many women left that that are in 145 in order to challenge her. There's one lady that she is currently not in the UFC right now, but I'm sure the UFC will strike a deal. But hell, if Holly Holm had won, it definitely would have had her star burn a little more brighter than it did after the Ronda Rousey fight. She would have become, in a sense, the legend killer, but it just honestly wasn't her night. It didn't work out that way, although much respect to her. She took a fight that not many people would take. It was equivalent to Kell Brook facing Gennady Golovkin, moving up in weight to face Gennady Golovkin, and just saying that he just didn't have it. There were spots where it looked like he could compete, but that was just as a fan saying, yeah, this looks great. But honestly, inside that squared circle, inside that octagon, Holly Holm, Kell Brook really had no shot at all. But they did gain a lot of respect from their peers and from a lot of fans for actually moving up to take a fight that a lot of other people, you know, wouldn't take. Now, to end this, I'll just say it's been a great year for boxing. You know, I am an advocate of boxing all over. I will do it till the day I die. You know, boxing is something I'm always gonna love, and I like the UFC. And it goes without saying that the UFC had a great year this year, and three names in particular have rose up from the ashes, and they have become what seemed to be, about four. These people have come up to be like monsters and monster names who are going to get monster fights in the future. One of those guys' names is Max Holloway. Max Holloway is I think he's a featherweight champion. Well, you can throw Demetrius Johnson there as well, but the featherweight champion, Max Holloway, who the last time he lost, it was against Conor McGregor. Or you can throw in the Tony Ferguson who beat Kevin Lee. Tony Ferguson is an amazing fighter, and Khabib will probably have to see him sooner rather than later. So Khabib is another one on that list. Chris Cyborg is another one on that list that had a great year. And last but not least, Francis Ngannou, who is going to fight next month, going to take on the heavyweight champion, who is Stipe Miocic. The UFC has had a